All right, guys, welcome back to Call Your DFS. I didn't do a video yesterday. It was a two-game slate. I felt like anything I had to say or advice I had to give you guys, you should have already known it. Two-game slates are the worst for me. I hate them with a passion. I don't really do that well in them. Versus me, playing in a larger slate. But again, here's a little quick recap of what I've done for my for yesterday's slate. So I create three lineups. I create a what if lineup, a constructed lineup, and a trending lineup. A trending lineup is basically going towards the more popular choices. Now, I think what we're looking at right here with the 238, this is my constructed lineup. No, I'm lying. This is my trending lineup. So the 238 didn't do too well. I did a head-to-head. I lost. That's crazy. I rarely lose the head-to-heads, but I lost. I did the $8 tournament. Didn't place with the 238 lineup. The 238 lineup is my trending lineup. My 251 lineup is more of a what if. Like, what if I put Conley, DeRozan, Antetokounmpo, Lowry, Leonard, all in the same lineup and see what they do. And 251, that's what I got from it. Also placed that in the $8 tournament as well. A single entry, it didn't do too well. As we get down to my 273 lineup, this is more so my constructed lineup. I knew Tony Parker would do well. However, I just couldn't figure out who the other point guard I should pick. Looking back on it, who would have known Dellavedova would have did as well as he did? He really crushed. And if you were in the $8 tournament, you would have known that Dellavedova really crushed and outperformed Brogdon. Brogdon just couldn't handle DeRozan. Overall, my picks were pretty solid. However, with the exception of Brogdon and Powell. So I don't mind showing you my recaps. That's just it. Now, I didn't make a video simply because I didn't really quite put much effort into researching or anything like that for NBA. However, I spent my time doing research for MLB. A few questions were asked of me on my last video. A person asked, "What do I do? How do I research? How can they become better as a DFS player?" Honestly, man, research. If you have time, research. Like, if you look at and this is my phone, so if you look at my home screen, I have MLB daily lineups. Nothing's really in yet as far as like batting lineups, batting rotation or whatever. Nothing's really in. But I have other things like fantasy labs. I use things like Swish Analytics. If you look at my home screen, Roto Grinders. I use DraftKings to try to figure out possible areas I can attack. I know that's probably unconventional, but I use everything. This screen right here shows mostly for baseball because, like I said, I've been doing a little bit more research on my MLB because I want to win those jackpots. You know what I mean? So if you want to win, you got to put in the time and effort. However, I have a 9 to 5, so I can't put in too much time. I'll put in probably an hour to 2 hours a day on whatever given sport I'm focused on that day and go for it. But yeah, I do a lot. Now, this is just half of the stuff. A lot of it is on my computer. So there's that as well. So far for my lineup for MLB, this is what I have. I stacked Detroit with St. Louis, and with a few Houston and LA. I went with the most valuable pitcher, Scherzer. So at the end of the day, this lineup is not a solid lineup because I am gonna tweak it simply because the research that I put in doesn't reflect the the batting rotation. So because it doesn't reflect the batting rotation, as you can see, nothing is really in on who's batting first, second, third, or fourth, or fifth. It's going to be tweaked. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards a Detroit stack, mixed with a little Houston and St. Louis, and I got Calhoun and for from LA for outfield. But this will be tweaked. So I'm actually out here trying to work on being a better MLB fantasy player. So it's like I'm doing a lot of shit ton of research. As far as my my NBA lineup, I just created something. I mean, I'm not gonna put 3 lineups in. I think I'm in a single entry in a whatever $6 tournament. If you can see, if you looking at my lineup right now, you'll probably be like, yo, this is a shitty lineup. Well, this is just me grabbing a spot. I have not like really constructed anything for my NBA lineup. However, as I run models on where is it at? I believe it's this one. Let's see. Okay, so as I run models at the point guard position, Isaiah Cannon is being he's actually popping up a lot in my models. Isaiah Cannon, if I scroll over, you'll see the projected number 17.4 with the ceiling with the projected plus or minus of 8.12. So that's pretty good. That's pretty decent. Isaiah Cannon at 2,600 allows you to afford some of the higher priced guys. Gerald Green, not so much on my model, and this is Fantasy Labs in case you didn't know. Bradley Beal is pretty solid. Another guy, and I don't know why the hell he's popping up like this, but another guy popping up on my model. Hold on, let me go. It takes a while when you're on the phone, man. If I was on my computer, this would work a lot faster. Rodney Hood is another guy that's popping up on my model. So if I were to point or lean towards any low value players, 2 of them would be Rodney Hood and Isaiah Cannon. These are some of the things I do. I also go on YouTube and listen to other YouTubers, DFS YouTubers, and see where their mindset is. I don't just do one thing. I don't just stick. Think of it like this. A doctor says you have a tumor in your head and you need to get it removed. That's why you're having headaches or whatever, or you're gonna die. And you're saying, are you sure? And the doctor's saying, I'm probably 70 to 80% sure. What you're gonna do is get a second opinion or a third opinion or even a fourth opinion. I don't know. Well, that's the same thing. That's how you should treat DFS. Don't be biased towards teams and players, and if somebody say, hey, run Isaiah Cannon, for example. Somebody says run Isaiah Cannon. Don't just run him because that one person said play him. Ah, shit, what's going on? My phone's acting up. But shop around. Look at other DFS YouTubers and see what they're saying. If they're saying play him, if you go to one channel and one channel says play Isaiah Cannon, but then you go to 2 more after that and they say don't play Isaiah Cannon, they say play somebody else, I'll weigh your options. But if all 3 is saying play him, maybe he's a good play. I don't do just one thing. I don't listen to one opinion. I shop around. I do my research. I run models. I run models on Fantasy Labs. I use RotoQL. I run models I do my own projections. Yeah, I write down my own fucking projections and run models myself. Yeah, so I don't just do one thing. I do a lot. Just giving you guys a little insight. Like if you want to really be successful at DFS, you're not going to be successful by just throwing a dart in a tournament. Like you might hit, you might not hit. It's kind of like, it's almost like winning the lottery. It's I hate saying 1 in a million, but it's really, you have slim chances of really hitting unless you actually put in the time and effort. Some of the pros, like I said, they don't win all the time, but the reason why you see their names up there a lot is because they put in the bankroll. So they might put in $1,100, $1,200 on the main slate lineup, and it might end up coming in like, I don't know, like 100th place with a few lineups, and the rest of them don't do shit. But that's the loss they're willing to take because they know that method works for them. It can get them to first place or the top 5 or the top 10 or top 20. So it works for them. Yeah, man. So it's like a lot of things I do. I do a lot of things. There's not just one thing I do. So after, going back to NBA, let's see, can we swap some shit out? And I'm just now getting to, making a lineup for NBA. I really been busy with work and research and other stuff and everything like that. Like I said, I have a 9 to 5, so I'll take an hour to 2 hours out my day to actually do this stuff. So at the point guard position from models, I might run 3. You know what? Honestly, I probably won't run 3 lines. I'll probably run 1 lineup, and that probably would be, one lineup for 2 tournaments, and that's it. I think I'm starting to switch over to focusing on MLB simply because, basketball is pretty much over with. You don't have too much to pick and choose from. Me personally, I don't like 2-game slates. I mean, yeah, this is a 3-game slate, but at the end of the day, it's trickling down. So I'd rather, gather my knowledge for MLB right now and just work towards that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, just looking at it first glance, I like Schroeder. A lot of people are gonna say Chris Paul or want to pick Chris Paul and Wall. Look, Chris Paul was putting up 50 consecutively. I'm not saying he won't do that tonight. However, he has a few things coming back to hinder that. Austin Rivers. I'm not saying that's just going to keep him from hitting 50, but he might just get 45, 47, 48 or whatever. And if that's the case, why go with him? Because you got to think about it. His price point is 10.4K. So what that means is he needs to make 5 times value. 5 times value is 50,000 or 50 fantasy points. So if there's a little doubt in my mind that he will not hit fantasy value, I won't go with him. Schroeder, he's priced up at 8.4. Schroeder, he can hit 40 fantasy points. I'm sorry. 40 fantasy points easy. I told you guys before, Schroeder is a baby Westbrook. The only thing that stopped him, I think, in like 2 games ago from hitting 30 something or 40, simply because he was in foul trouble in the first quarter. That's the only thing. Other than that, if he can control himself and be a little bit more mature, like Westbrook, how Westbrook became more mature as a player, he'll be hitting triple doubles out the ass. Easy. Schroeder is nice. But yeah, standing out, that sticks out to me, Schroeder. And just for argument's sake, I'm gonna put in, Isaiah Cannon simply because running models, they really have him not priced up, but really his rating is pretty high on those models. So Isaiah Cannon, at shooting guard, maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but I like Bill. And just to give you guys a little bit more information about this Atlanta versus Washington, there is a grudge. It is like a beef. Bradley Beal and John Wall can't stand Schroeder. Can't stand Schroeder. They don't like the Hawks. So they're going to come out and play good. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, why don't I pick Wall, Beal, Schroeder, and Paul Millsap or something? Well, you can do it. I'm not saying it's not wrong. I'm not saying it's the wrong play, but that's not my play, But yeah, so at shooting guard, I'm looking at Bill, and then just for argument's sake, in the models, Rodney Hood is showing up pretty high rating in the model, so I'll just throw him in the mix. Now, at small forward, you got Jimmy Butler, Gordon Hayward. You know these guys are gonna do good. Now, if I had to pick one of the two, I would go with Gordon Hayward, because I believe Hayward would bring in more return than Butler. Butler's priced up at 9.8K. At 9.8K, he should be getting 45 fantasy points or more. Honestly, I would say 50 fantasy points because he's at 9.8. But yeah, 45 fantasy points. Gordon Hayward can do that. His upside is that. Gordon Hayward, his value should be at, or his 8.5, 5 times that should be at 40 fantasy points. Now, he can do well over 40 fantasy points. He could do 45, he can do 50 if he wanted to. So out of the two, I would go with Gordon Hayward. However, you're gonna have guys that go with both Butler and Gordon Hayward. But for argument's sake, I'm just gonna put Gordon Hayward down. At the power forward position, you don't really have much to play with. I can't really say Mirotic has been playing bad. However, he's just not that. He doesn't look that appealing to me. Favors was supposed to be the guy to go with, but Joe Johnson has been really running it up on the court lately. So, you know, there's another play for you right there at the small forward position, Joe Johnson. But for argument's sake, I'm gonna go with Paul Millsap, because at the end of the day, they got something to fight or play for, and they're playing hard. And at center, Gobert, he's not really rating high on my models, but at the same time, he is in the top 3. So I would say consider him, but the projections that I get, he's probably going to bring in something similar to Al Horford. And if that's the case, I'd rather go the cheaper route and get Al Horford. So, I mean, this is what I'm doing. This is what I have, just, you know, eyeballing it. You know, I ran some models. I didn't really spend too much time on it, but I ran some models. So low value wise, I have Rodney Hood, Isaiah Cannon. Not quite sure about Rodney Hood, but at the end of the day, he's at 4K. You know, his value he should get anywhere from 20 fantasy. Yeah, 5 times 4, 20 fantasy points. So there you go. I mean, Isaiah Cannon, value wise, he should get 10 fantasy points. But I think he's gonna have a good matchup to play in, and I think he could get 20 or more fantasy points. That's what I mean. You've seen the models that I showed you for Fantasy Lab, so I think he could get it. Will he get it? I don't know. It's just one of those things, you know. So this is all I have so far. But yeah, like I said, next month I'm gonna be jumping into that MLB. I'm gonna be jumping into the MLB, and so far, this is what I have for my MLB lineup. Again, it's Detroit, St. Louis, Houston, and LA. However, that may change. I mean, the lineups haven't came in yet. At least I don't think so. Let me see. I didn't see any lineups or batting rotation show up yet. Let's refresh. Oh, we got some coming in, but they're not all in. So it's later on in the day. Like I said, that lineup that I have for my MLB, it will be getting tweaked. However, I'm just waiting on batting rotations to fall in place, and then once that happens, I'm gonna start comparing analytics or comparing with Switch Analytics. You know, everything. You know, so. Again, point of this video is, I know it's kind of scattered. I'm just really trying to rush and do it because I got a lot going on. But if you want to be successful at DFS, 1, bankroll management. 2, figure out a routine or some kind of or strategy you use to play. And 3, never be biased towards teams and players. Always accept every bit of information from every source. Even if you don't agree with it, accept it, understand it. You don't necessarily have to use it. Just understand what they're saying and what's going on. Yeah, so that's all I got. That's all I have today. If you like what I did, I'm sorry it's scattered. I'm actually in a rush right now. But if you like what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and oh, just got a notification from Fantasy Labs. Matuk out of lineup. Okay, cool. Got to figure out who and where he's at. But yeah, if you like what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.